Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and if you're wondering, didn't I just wear this sweater in my last video, the first clip of my last vlog, and for the thumbnail picture? Yes, I did. Am I going to wear this sweater for every single video for the rest of the year? Quite possibly, because it is the most comfy sweater that I own, possibly the most comfy sweater that I've ever owned. It is so soft and cozy, and right now it's just giving me all the autumnal vibes, so I'm going for it. I love it. If you missed my last video, it will be available to purchase around the beginning of October till the end of the year, and then it will be gone. So stay tuned for that. Now, I haven't done a reading wrap up for a while. I did a few, the last one I read 7 books in 7 days. Quite by accident. I wasn't trying to do that, I just was reading a lot. And then now it's been 3.5 weeks maybe since that video, and I have a few books to share. Some of them were good, and some of them I would suggest just passing on. I'm going to start with the ones I didn't really like because I want to get them over with and then be able to talk about the ones that I enjoyed. So I have 5 books here that I mostly DNFed. 2 of them I read a decent portion of and then skipped to the end and realized I didn't really miss much. So let's just get into this. The first is Death in the Sunshine. I was thinking this one was going to give me Thursday Murder Club crossed with the Death in Paradise show vibes. It is a retired detectives club, and there is a mystery going on in this retirement village. There's some thieving going on, plus there's a murder that happens, and honestly I just didn't like the book. All our main characters are like hiding things, and I just wasn't a fan of any of the characters, so I read a good portion of it, skipped to the end, and realized I don't know, I didn't really care for it. Yeah, so this one wasn't terrible. I think maybe some people would enjoy it, but it wasn't for me. It was very slow. It felt like it was taking forever for things to happen, but some people might enjoy it. I'm not saying don't read this one, but it wasn't really for me. Then I started The Tunnels Below. This was a cover buy because, I don't know, I love the art style. I love that whole picture. And I did not get very far, and I just realized it felt like it was written by a middle grader. So this is a middle grade book about a girl on her 12th birthday that finds some tunnels underneath London. And the writing just felt like a 5th grader wrote it and no one even edited it. So I couldn't push myself through it. I still really love this cover. That's gorgeous. Wouldn't recommend that one. Then I started reading You'll Never See Me Again. I thought this was supposed to be historical fiction, but I think it's supposed to be more of a thriller-ish thing. The back of the book talks about a murder. And I got 100 pages in, and so far like no murder was happening. It was about a woman who decided to run away from her life and pretend that she had died in a storm instead of staying living with her terrible mother-in-law and her husband, who came back from war with like no memories, doesn't remember her. Yeah, and it was about her escape from that, and it just felt like nothing was happening in the story. Like, yeah, she ran away from this life, but it felt like there was no point to it, so I ended up DNFing this, and I didn't even read the back. I have no idea. Maybe I should read the last couple chapters just to see what even took place, what this murder was. I have no idea. I was very confused. This one has really good reviews on Goodreads though, but definitely I wasn't interested. Now this next one I am very sad about. I talked about this one in my last vlog, The Librarian's Spy. I wanted to love this book. It is historical fiction in World War II. I loved The Last Bookshop in London by the same author, and this one was so dreadfully dull. First of all, we follow 2 main characters, and the one is a librarian, and she leaves her job at the library in the first chapter. And I thought she was gonna go work as a spy even, like maybe, but no, she just takes pictures of newspapers. And the title feels so misleading to me because there was no library and there was a spy, but we didn't really know about the spy all the way through. And yeah, and then our other storyline was maybe a bit better. It's about a French woman whose husband has gone missing. Turns out he was secretly part of the resistance and she wants to join the resistance and stuff. And like their stories merge a little bit, but I just really did not enjoy the reading process. If someone told me the storyline, it's like, oh, that's an interesting story, but I feel like it was very poorly executed. Honestly, I'm going to get rid of this book, and I am very sad to say that, because I had so much fun with The Last Bookshop in London, but this one was dreadfully, dreadfully dull, and I don't even feel like the ending had any like redeeming qualities to it, really. Unfortunately, I wouldn't recommend this one either. And the last one was Light from Distant Stars, so I picked up this one because it was on my list of 12 books I wanted to read this year, my fiction books, plus it worked for Books and Lala's Buzzwordathon because it was light and dark is the prompt for this month, so I was going for the word light. I did not get very far, and I just decided to quit it. This is my second Sean Smucker book. I didn't enjoy his other one, the newer one. It's called The Weight of Memory, I think. He writes, it's supposed to be Christian-ish, I think, but he does speculative fiction, I think is what it's considered. And I've realized, or magic realism. I don't really know what the difference between those two is, but I don't really like those. Definitely not magic realism. I've realized that's like an anti-buzzword for me. And his books are just too weird for me. So I quit this one very early. It starts out with a man coming across the body of his father. He can tell his father's obviously been murdered, and I think he goes through and tries to figure out if he's the one that murdered his father. And he there's flashbacks to his childhood, which has like child abuse and stuff, but it's all very disjointed, and I don't know. He's just definitely not an author for me. I won't be picking up any of his other books. So that was a quick fly through of the books I didn't like. Now, let's talk about the stack that I did like, because there's some really good ones here. The first one I'll talk about is Firefight. I talked about this one a little bit in my last vlog. This is Sanderson's science fiction it's a super villain story. This is the second book in the trilogy, and this world the world has gained a bunch of supervillains, and our main character is kind of trying to take them down. There's a lot I can't say in this one about this one because it's the second book in a series. I read the last one last month. I feel like I said this in my reading vlog that if this wasn't Sanderson's writing, I probably would have given it a better rating, but I expect more from Sanderson. I think I still gave it 4 stars. I think it's a 4-ish star book, but for Sanderson it's like a 3.5 is what I would call it. Not his best writing, but still really fun. He definitely kind of drops some bombs at the end of the first book in the series and this one. Things really take some twists at the end, which is cool. I just wish there was more of that throughout the book and he didn't save it all for the end. Overall, I've been enjoying this series though, and I might pick up the last one this month to be able to join in with series September. I mean, I think I've already joined in because I've been reading a few books in series, but that would finish the series up. A series I finished up, actually, did I finish this series in September? Maybe the end of October. October? Wow, that's not how months go. August. I read, I don't remember which one's which. Vicious Cycle and Downfall. I think this is book 2 and this is book 3 in this series. Don't know if the series has a name. This book 1, we followed a mother whose daughter is addicted to drugs. She's going to rehab. Book 2 we followed, which one was book 2? Okay, this is book 2. We followed the 15-year-old brother and some choices that he makes. And then book 3 we follow the daughter for the most part. I can't really separate these books much. This family is very high drama. Bad situations seem to follow them, / they seem to insert themselves in situations. They seem to make poor decisions and not tell people what they're going to be doing. They're definitely not people I'd want to be friends with, but it does make for an interesting story, other than I just wish they weren't constantly making stupid decisions. I really enjoyed Vicious Cycle the most though, because one of the characters has a crystal meth addiction, and I have a few people in my life that struggle with addiction to crystal meth, and I've never really researched it much, and I have been meaning to since reading this, but it did open my eyes to a few different things in regards to that drug in particular, but drug addiction as a wider topic, and it made me hurt reading this, and I felt like Terry Blackstock had a little bit of, it felt personal, and then I read the author's note in the last book, and it turns out one of her children dealt with drug addiction for a period of time, and so that's why this one really seemed to be personal. Definitely not my favorite series of Terry Blackstock's, but I still really enjoyed it. If you can get over the fact that everyone in this family makes like some pretty poor decisions, or just like should just phone the cops instead of inserting themselves into situations all the time. Okay, let's talk about my Agatha Christie for the month next. That was By the Pricking of My Thumbs. This is book 4, I think, in the Tommy and Tuppence series, and I just have like a love for Tuppence. I feel like we have a lot of similarities in our personality. So Tommy and Tuppence are aging throughout this series. Now, I don't know how old they are. It doesn't really say. I would probably guess like 50s. And this is a little bit of like Tuppence's personality here. Tommy is saying, "Oh, I don't know. Something interesting might happen. We might be in a railway accident on the way there," said Tuppence, brightening a little. "Why on earth do you want to be in a railway accident?" "Well, I don't really, of course. I was just what?" "Well, it would be an adventure of some kind, wouldn't it? Perhaps we could save lives or do something useful. Useful and at the same time exciting." Her character is a lot of fun to read about. Yeah, so in this one, I will give what's the word? Warning, at least, for the fact that they do deal with a past event where there was a child killer, a serial killer that targeted children. So I know that is definitely hard to read about, but it was like very much in the past, and it didn't give like a ton of details or anything. But in this one, Tuppence kind of just imagines a mystery from a painting that she sees, but turns out Tuppence has some good instincts because there is a mystery going on. So she's looking for a house that is in a painting. It has to do with this lady that she meets in this old folks home who tells her about a child who's been buried in a chimney, and she says, "It wasn't your poor child, was it?" or something. It's like lady's got some memory issues, and it leaves Tuppence with a feeling that something isn't quite right, and she wants to investigate. And yeah, I don't know, I enjoyed the story following Tommy and Tuppence. It's always a lot of fun, and I only have one more book left in the series with them, another one that I could finish this month for series September if I wanted. If I own the last book of the series. I don't remember which one it is, but definitely enjoying hanging out with him. Okay, next I will talk about the book that I finished last night. That is Whose Waves These Are. Now, this is my first Amanda Dykes book, and wow, I was going in publication order. So she published this one in 2019, and I have, I'm pretty sure, 2 of her other books. Yes, and she has another one coming out later this year. And you guys, this is so good. So it's dual timeline. We follow a man named Robert in September 1944. Right in the beginning chapter, his twin brother gets called up to war, and Robert wants to switch places, but his brother wants to be the one who is courageous this time around. But unfortunately his brother has a young wife who is pregnant, and yeah, so we follow Robert, and that timeline jumps pretty quickly throughout the book. And then we are, not present day, I think it's 2001, and we follow a woman named Annie. And what I really like is, I'm trying to find here, it's not like one chapter is in one timeline and the other one is in the other timeline. You get a few chapters hanging out with each character before you jump timelines. The first one is like only 2 chapters with Robert, and then we jump in with Annie in May of 2001. But usually it's like a few chapters, so you get a little bit more into the story instead of jumping back and forth, which helps someone like me who's not very good with dual timeline, dual perspective books. And Annie is working at a kind of like a corporate job, and she gets called away to not like the deathbed, but the sickbed of her great uncle Bob, who is Robert from the other timeline, Grand Bob. and she is trying to figure out a little bit of a mystery type thing that's going on. That's not a mystery, but he's been secretive with some of his past, or she hasn't asked the questions, whatever. She's trying to uncover a bit of the past, and yeah. There are some sections in here. I probably teared up the most individual times throughout this book that I have in any book. There is at one point, okay, there's a few different things I really liked. First of all, this is just a random character saying something about someone else. So this guy lost his livelihood that day. He never once complained. Said he figured it just meant God had something new in mind, and when the Lord did a new thing, it was good. So that was just a random story. That phrase, that paragraph really jumped out at me. Okay, so there's a scene, where someone is dying. I don't want to like give anything away. And he's giving advice to the person that's sitting with him. And he's telling this person to not get stuck in the dark. There's a whole lot of light. Go there instead. Yeah, so I don't want to say much else, I think, about the book. Let's see, is there anything else? Oh, and one more little thing that I liked. Impossible's where the miracles happen. If I stay put, I might have more chance at life. But what sort of living is that when I was made to do this? Just a random quote that I loved. Yeah, I'm very excited to read more of her books because I really, really enjoyed this one. Highly recommend checking this out. And my last book is a nonfiction, Adorning the Dark by Andrew Peterson. Now, I did spend my last vlog raving about this book, so I'll try not to talk about it too much, or yeah, well, good luck with that. First of all, the subtitle is Thoughts on Community, Calling, and the Mystery of Making. This is one, especially after my last vlog, so many people talked about how it's like really touched them when they read it too, and apparently his other book, his second one, is just as good. But I didn't really know what the book was about going into it, and this sentence is pretty much what it's about. Calling, as I understand it, is to use whatever gifts I've been given to tell the truth as beautifully as I can. And there was so many things I tabbed. So I originally got it out from the library, but we bought it because Jared wanted to read it, and I'm like, we need to buy it before you read it because it's just one we need to own. So many things. I don't even know what I should read here. So it's a lot about, for him, it's a lot about his like memoir of his songwriting and his musical career, but it's, as someone who is not a songwriter or a musician in any way, it didn't feel like it wasn't applicable. This has definitely sparked something inside me to tell the truth as beautifully as I can. I love that line. And he talks about like the resistance of when you're trying to tell the truth as beautifully as you can. I believe there's a resistance, and it's made up of what Paul called the rulers, the authorities, the cosmic powers over this present darkness, the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly places. If you're called to speak light into the darkness, then believe this, the darkness wants to shut you up. Yeah. How many quotes can I read? Okay, I'll just do one more. Oh, and I have often got questions about the way I tab things and highlight books and annotate books, and I do plan on doing a video. I think I shared this actually in a different video recently. It will either be coming soon, or if not, it will be definitely coming in like Vlogmas time, because in December I plan on doing a video a day from the 1st to the 24th, like I did last year, because that was fun. Okay, one more quote. I want you, dear reader, to remember that one holy way of mending the world is to sing, to write, to paint, to weave new worlds. Because the seed of your feeble yet faithful work fell to the ground, died, and rose again. What Christ has done through you will call forth praise from lonesome travelers long after your name is forgotten. They will know someone lived and loved here. Whoever they were, they will think they belong to God. It's clear that they believed the stories of Jesus were true, and it gave them a hope that made their lives beautiful in ways that will unfold for ages among the linnea that shimmers in the moonlit woods. Yeah, so I can hear the little one coming down. He probably wants more snacks. I guess I'll wrap this up. Let me know some books that you've enjoyed recently, something that I should check out soon. Thanks for being here, guys.